Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com, and in today's video I'm going to talk about how you can repair your credit without even disputing anything to anybody. And I'm also going to talk about something that you could do to stop debt collectors from coming after you, even if they purchased your debt from the original creditor and they got the documentation, everything, showing how much they claim you owe. I'm going to run down some other issues that could come up. And this is more than a debt validation. Some more stuff that could come up that you can actually challenge. And if the debt collector cannot come up with those documents, they will stop all collection activities and they will send you a nice letter stating that they're going to cease collection activities. Now, I want to be upfront about something real quick. I usually make videos and they go through, like I can make a video and go straight through on it one take. But for some reason, and I'm going to trust y'all with this one, so you better like this video right now. Maybe the universe is saying, Steve, don't give this game. You know how the young folks say it. Somebody just said on the video, on a comment, Steve, you spitting game out here to people. Maybe what I'm going to share with you with what you can do to put more pressure on debt collectors, maybe I shouldn't be sharing that information, because these are company secrets. These are the things that have set us aside from all of these other, quick fix, in today, gone tomorrow credit repair companies. Why we are 1 year away from being a 20-year-old credit repair company. 20 years old. I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind as we go through this video, because first I'm going to talk about how you can repair your credit without disputing anything with the credit reporting agencies. First, I'm going to go over that, and then maybe I might change my mind, so we'll have to see. All right, so husband and wife come to me. They say, Steve, trying to buy a house. We got turned down because I got some stuff. My wife has some stuff on her credit reports that's from a while back, and we need to get this resolved. The bank said they're not going to make the loan unless she, get this resolved. I know that stuff like that causes a lot of stress between couples, because one of the partners could feel that someone is holding them back from us getting our dream home. It could be the husband, it could be the wife, it could be both of you. But the thing that you need to understand is that this is stuff that could be resolved without disputing if you are serious about, that the goal that you want, which is, in this case, was to buy the house. So first thing that we did is we said we got to get the complete credit reports, because we got to know what we're dealing with. When I looked at the credit reports, there were three main issues. There were three collections. Two of them wasn't that much. They wasn't that big. And after my consultation with them, I said, well, this is the options that I see available to you, is that we need to do a full debt validation with these two collectors, and then we can move towards doing settlements with them, with both of them. And so we submitted that debt validation. Within 1 day, we got a response. I got on the phone, and this is another thing, is that now the debt validation was directly to the collection agencies. The reason why you want to do that is because you want to always make sure that they have all the documentation. They're used to people not challenging anything that they're supposed to have. You should always do that, even if the goal is to do a settlement, because when you do that, it opens their eyes up that you're just not the ordinary individual that comes around and going to end up paying 80 or 90% when you could pay 25 to 50% on the dollar for the debt that they purchased from the original creditor. So for these two here, spoke to them. Everything's going to be resolved. One of them was forwarded over to an attorney, but we got to working on that, stopped the lawsuit, and these two are going to be resolved without disputing. So now how are we going to do this without disputing? Is that we get it resolved. The collection agency will put the information on there that it is resolved. They'll provide a letter that it's resolved, and then us as a company will provide a letter to the bank that it is resolved. Now, 30 days later, they said that they would have it removed when they do their updates. So it'll be removed without disputing, but the couple doesn't want to miss the opportunity for the house because they already put the down payment on there. They just need to arrange the financing. And because they know that they're going to get this resolved, they didn't have any trouble just delaying the closing on the house. And so for the third one, though, this one was a little bit more difficult because we had to deal directly with the original creditor. It was for a little over $6,000. And there was some issues with this, with domestic violence issues. And if you're ever in a situation where you were a victim of domestic violence and someone took over your account, and you know how we can be, it will be like we want to just get away from this individual and not deal with them. And you can, I've seen this happen where, especially females that came to us and the ex took the car, did all this stuff, tore up their credit. There is a simple fix for that, but it's going to take a lot of back and forth. What we ended up doing is talking directly with the legal department with this credit card company, told them the situation. They told us what information to get to them to fill out, and then to expedite it, they even gave us a fax number, and they gave us the, for the full account number because she didn't even have that. But once we had that POA on file, did the full account number, and they told us the steps that we needed to take, get those documents over. That's going to be totally resolved, and to expedite the process, because some of the times it could take 30 days for this information to get updated. What we're going to do is we're going to write a letter to them, to the bank, which we've done that before, letting them know that this is resolved, and we give them copies of the documentation that was submitted. That's going to allow them to be able to move forward, to be able to get our house, and that is exactly how you can deal with collections on your credit reports without having to dispute them directly with the credit bureaus. And if you're serious about getting stuff resolved, that is one option that you could take, and that's one of the ways that we help our clients repair their credit. So now, but you got to be serious. You got to be serious. Now, I'm going to go through the list, but I'm a little reluctant with this because for some reason, something keeps happening to the video. When I get to this point, something happens to where it just stops. It freezes, like, Steve, don't share this with people. And so what I've decided to do, because I do got to protect my company, I'm going to go over a list. I'm just going to break it down with a list of what you can ask for, what you should be asking for in your debt validation letter. A lot of people will just say proof of contract and all, the above water stuff. You want to hit them where they don't expect you to hit, like that fake boxing match that they just had the other day. So now let's go through what debt buyers have to give to you if you request it. So now the first thing is purchase agreement, bill of sale. A document showing that the sale of the debt from the original creditor to the debt buyer. Now, you will sometimes see that it was purchased by a portfolio company, and then the debt collector purchased it from the portfolio company. If you see stuff like that, you already know that you're on the way to potentially not having to pay that debt that the debt collector purchased. And also, for you who are on here trying to say that I'm trying to tell people to not pay attention, to just run away from debt, I'm not about that. If a debt collector buys your debt, just like if you were getting a loan and you're sitting there reading the contracts and they say, well, you signed for that car or you signed for that loan and you should have read the contract. Well, the same thing with the debt collector. Debt collector should have, and you expect them that they've read the Fair Debt Collections Practice Act. If they didn't read it and they purchased that debt, they know what they're supposed to have. And if they don't have it, then you don't have to pay. Just like if you made a mistake and didn't read that contract the right way, and that original creditor came after you, you would have to be bound by that contract that you signed, even if you claim you didn't understand it or you claim that you missed it or didn't read it. Same thing, debt collector, in a sense, when they buy debt, they are signing onto a contract that is bound by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. So you can ask for the original, the contract, the bill of sale between the debt buyer and the original creditor. The name of the seller, the original creditor, and the buyer, the debt collector, needs to be on that contract, and it needs to be dated properly. So if your account charged off, let's just say it charged off in 2021, and they purchased the debt in 2020, you know that there's some problems. We've seen that. Also, the terms of the sale must be disclosed. They try to black that out. They have to be disclosed. Also, a list or description of the debts that were sold. So if they bought this big portfolio, they need to disclose everything about what was purchased. They'll try to hide it with saying file numbers, accounts, and all of this. There's some other stuff, but I'm not going to get into it right now in this video. Another thing is assignment of debt. Proof that a specific debt in question was assigned to the debt collector. They must connect your debt to the purchase agreement and show that the chain of ownership, show the chain of ownership if the debt has been resold. So they have to do that. Account statements. Copies of statements sent by the original creditor to the debtor. Now, you need to, according to the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, they need to get you 12 to 18 months of statements and details on that, the transaction history, payments made, charges and fees added, and the interest rate. That's interest rate. They need to get you a charge-off statement, a statement from the original creditor showing when and why the debt was charged off, including the balances at the time of the charge-off. Next thing that they have to get you is the original creditor agreement or contract, a copy of the original agreement or terms between you and the original creditor showing the interest rates, fees, payment terms, etc. Again, complete payment history, a record of all payments made on the account, and that will help you be able to verify the accuracy. I talk about that a lot. They just can't walk up to you and say you owe $5,000 and here's one statement. They also need to give you a notice of debt transfer, a notice from the original creditor informing that the debtor that the account has been sold. This is something that a lot of companies get lazy on. They need to get that letter of transfer to you, not just from the debt collector. I'm talking about from the original creditor. That's something that you can request and say, hey, I did not get that. I need that letter from the original creditor stating that you are the new owner of the debt. That ensures compliance with federal and state requirements. Next thing is the proof of ownership of debt, documentation linking the debt from the original creditor through every transfer to the current debt owner. We see a lot of times where it's going from one portfolio company who buys the whole pool of debt and then it's shifted off to these little LLC debt collection companies. Or it could go from one debt collection company to another debt collection company, or portfolio to a debt collection company to another debt collection company. Because some of the time they'll just try to collect it, and if they can't, they'll sell it off or transfer it over to another debt collector. Remember, anytime they do that, they are relying on the documents from the debt collector who sold it to them or transferred it to them. They had no interactions with the original creditor. Keep that in mind. Now, you have a right to do what's called a debt validation letter. Now, this is something that you probably all know about. The stuff that I talked about earlier, what I do is I would enhance your debt validation letter to ask these specific questions. So first, you want to know, ask about the amount, name of the original creditor, information that you're disputing about the debt. So if there's something that you don't recognize, amount, whatever it is, you put that in your letter. Don't just have it like just a template type deal, you want to actually elaborate in there so they can pay more attention to it. You also want to make sure that an attorney reviews everything that everything that they're going to send back to you. So if they're saying, hey, you owe this amount, contract, the interest rate, all of the stuff from the questions that I just told you to ask in your letter and this other stuff, you want to make sure that an attorney has reviewed it. You ask them, did an attorney review it? Some of the times they'll say yes, an attorney reviewed it. Some of the times they'll say no, an attorney didn't review it, that they're going to just stand with what they got. That does not matter. If they decide to move forward and they don't provide all of that information, you're going to have them. This is how you get your case dismissed right from the get-go, because you better bet once it goes to an attorney and they go into court and they submit the documents stating that everything that they're submitting is true, which is really going to be the amount and some statements and maybe the contract from the original creditor. If that's how they're going to walk into court and maybe have a bill of sale, usually have a bill of sale, that's not going to work. If you've already asked for information and they didn't provide it to you, you could be walking out with a dismissal right away if you have all of this stuff in order. This is all about being proactive. So now, other things that you can ask the debt collector about their license and registration. Some states require it, some states don't require it. So you got to look at the laws in your state. Most states do require it. The next thing, which is something that really grabs debt collectors, is that you can request all communication history that you had with the original creditor. Think about it. If they purchased a debt, this is part of them signing that little contract that with the terms and conditions is under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. If you ask for all communications that you have with the original creditor, if they're the new owner and they take full responsibility for the debt, they have to have all the communications for the debt. As a matter of fact, with the debt with the one debt that we have with the client that I mentioned earlier in the video about going to buy a house, one of the things that I did ask for was the communications from her that she had made with this creditor. And once they went and looked that up, it was like the ball was just really rolling, because they were like, yes, she did communicate this with us a few years ago. Some new things not new things, some additional things that you can ask for is you can say, you can ask for proof of authorization to collect the account, which means that a document confirming that the collector is authorized to collect on the behalf of the debt owner. Or if and this could happen if there is an attorney that is collecting it for a debt collection company. And you'll have that. Also an affidavit of debt, sworn statement verifying the accuracy of the debt details. Now, let me tell you something that they do to try to beef up that affidavit. When you look at those affidavits, I've seen these, and when the first time I read through one, I was like, this is nothing from the original creditor. All it is someone that's within the debt collection company that is stating, I looked at the accounts, I looked at the paperwork, and I know how we do stuff here, and I'm going to swear on an affidavit, yes, all of this stuff is true. What you have to understand is that what they're swearing to in that affidavit is that once they got the documents, that everything that they saw in there was, to the best of their knowledge, true. But you can challenge that affidavit easily by stating, you are not the original creditor. This is just an affidavit about what's going on with your company. I want you to get me all of this other stuff that we just named off earlier to prove that I have to pay you for this account. So now, next question is, Steve, do you have something that that I can use to be able to get the ball rolling to start, challenging these debt collectors? Yes, I do. All you have to do, there's a link below this video. You can grab my 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations letter, debt validation letter, cease and desist collection activities letter. Use the one that's appropriate for your situation. If you want to be proactive with this, that you need to grab those 3-pack of letters, because if you have debt that is past the legal statute of limitations to collect, I made a letter that will stop everything. It'll be done and over with. They will not be able to collect on the debt because it's past legal statute of limitations. There's a way to do that. No debt validation is needed when the debt is past the legal statute of limitations to collect. Next, the cease and desist collection activities letter and the debt validation letter. You use those together to challenge the debt collectors for the debt that they've purchased. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video What Makes Us Different so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com. Grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, credit reports and all 3 scores. And again, grab my 3-pack of letters if you have debt collectors coming after you early in the game. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.